Everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today we got some even more news. I can't believe it. We went so many months with virtually nothing to really say about Star Wars. We've had a couple of trailers, a couple of big announcements, but not really a whole bunch of rumors, at least not reliable ones. It's been a while, is what I'm saying. And yet, here within the last, week plus, it's suddenly exploded with rumors. Suddenly, news is just coming out of everywhere. And I think this really is because, first, we are approaching the end of the year. And as I've said before, next year is the Star Wars year. It's, that's when so many of the Disney Plus shows are finally going to be released. And it's when production on something is going to start. We'll talk about that in a second. So I think it's just because we're getting closer and closer to things starting to become a reality in one form or another, that now there's finally things to report. So here we go. Here's an update on the last two Star Wars news update videos. Here we go. So, update on the future of Star Wars film projects. The High Republic era movie might be coming first. Okay, so previously we talked about how the Rogue Squadron movie was rumored to get moved and an Old Republic movie might be taking its place. And then, of course, like the next day after I made that video, hey, guess what? Rogue Squadron's been moved. So now, of course, okay, Old Republic is happening then. But now we're hearing High Republic might actually be what's going on. So here we go. Lucasfilm reportedly has a replacement in mind for the now delayed Rogue Squadron film, and it's believed to be set in the Old Republic era. However, a new info has suggested that it could instead be set in the High Republic era, set as a tie-in to Lucasfilm's publishing efforts and the forthcoming Disney Plus series, The Acolyte. Lucasfilm reportedly has plans to do both. So yes, The Acolyte is an already announced Disney Plus show that's coming out. I don't think it's coming out next year, maybe 2023, maybe even after that. But it has been said to be set in the High Republic, like the very end of the High Republic. So that is something we know is supposed to be happening, but a movie that ties into that makes a whole lot of sense, especially if that is being set during the end of the High Republic, so there's a lot of space before that would coincide with all of the published materials that is happening, 200 plus years beforehand. So that makes a lot of sense. So let's actually get to where we're at today, thanks to big screen leaks. We once again, we can add another tidbit. Both live action and Old Republic and High Republic projects are indeed in the pipeline. Also, the High Republic movie will be the first one to be released. That is what BSL has said. So it sounds like it's only a matter of time before we get one and then the other. After all, the High Republic push was never meant to replace Old Republic content, so much as tell a story that had never been explored in the Star Wars lore. So yeah, that... and we're going to get to that in a second, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense that if you remember the way things were supposed to happen, the reality that we were supposed to be living in was that they would do an episodic movie, and then the next year they would do a one-off Star Wars story, a Solo or a Rogue One, and of course after Solo, they decided to take a break. They decided to stop doing that, and then the Disney Plus shows started, and a lot of things, for example, Boba Fett was supposed to be a movie, and the rumor is that Obi-Wan was also supposed to be a movie. So a lot of the things that were supposed to be movies at one point later got transformed into Disney Plus shows. But that does not mean, obviously, here that these, having yearly annual Star Wars movies is not going to be a thing. I think that's still very much something that they plan on happening, so it does make sense for them to have, they can have High Republic movies happening and they can have Old Republic movies happening interchangeably, like one year it's this, one year it's the other thing, and they just kind of go back and forth, sort of like how the Call of Duty games come out once a year, but it's different, game studios working on the different versions of Call of Duty games. You got your Black Ops and you got your Modern Warfares and whatever else, right? So it's kind of the same idea there. So anyways, let's keep on going. Also, a new report from Cinelinx added some key details to the story by expanding on a couple of concepts. And we're actually going to go over to Cinelinx. This is Jordan Mason. This is a very reliable guy. Very trustworthy guy. So essentially what I'm saying is that if Jordan Mason corroborates something, or even if you see that Jordan Mason has retweeted something, he's like supporting it, he's showing that, like, I support what this other person is reporting. That, for me personally, that's like a huge sign that, like, okay, that is now a reliable piece of information. Having his name retweeted on that, that it just adds some credibility to it in my mind. So here is some stuff that he has said. Okay, Rogue Squadron delay isn't a sudden thing. I've heard the film has been having some issues with the script. They want to tighten up. I wouldn't panic, as it seems like something they still want to do and get right. So yeah, that is one thing, is that, like, I kind of speculated that, like, they're saying that it was a scheduling problem. That doesn't make sense. It being a script problem, trying to figure out what to do, makes a lot more sense. And some people are saying, like, oh, it's canceled, it's done, it's never happening. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's that drastic of an issue. I think they're simply like, let's give it another year. Let's try and figure out what we want to do with this thing before we rush into it. I think that's the smartest move they could possibly make. Lucasfilm has been developing a number of movie projects over the years. They haven't been sitting idle, and have some projects they've put work into specifically for instances like this, where they can swap projects around without having to totally scrap release dates. This gives them the chance to still produce stuff regularly and give directors more time when/if needed. Okay, so like I was saying, it makes sense that they can have things be done interchangeably, of like, this year we're going to do this, and while this one is in post-production, the other one is in pre-production, and other people are working on that one, and so on and so forth, right? Which very much was the way they were doing things with Force Awakens happening, but then Last Jedi was in production and Rogue One was finishing production, and like, things were just at different stages and they were getting ready to hit their dates. Now, I know that I keep on going on about how I would much rather have movies just pushed back entirely than risk coming out not fully realized, right? However, release dates are important, and at least a couple of reasons why is, well, first, there's the strategic side of it. Like, you have so many other movie studios try to basically vying for these optimal times during the year, when they know statistically more people go during this time and go during that time, and these kinds of movies usually work during this portion of the year. And not to mention your own studio's movies. Disney has so many movies that they release between their Marvel and their Pixar and their animated side and their live action remake side and all this stuff. So when they pick a release date, that's not just like, let's just throw a dart at the calendar and let's see which date works. No, it's like, this is very, very specific, and they got a lot of people around to, like, what makes sense for this type of movie and what makes sense for that type of movie. So release dates are not like random, like, and that's why studios always put so much pressure to hit those release dates, because it's like, the other part is like, hey, we have marketing that has to go into effect to lead up to the release date. We have merchandise that's going to be released, a little bit before, during, and after that release date, so it's like, it's all of this stuff surrounds that release date, and that's why there's so much pressure around that. So if they have multiple projects that they can, like, instead of forcing a project to make it, they can then be like, okay, you know what, that one's not working, hey, you over there, where are you at? Okay, let's bring you in, let's let you start filming instead of them. And there you go. And that's essentially the story here. It's like, hey, Patty Jenkins, your script isn't ready, something's not right yet, let's give you another year. Hey, mystery Old Republic / High Republic movie, go. We're tagging you into the game, your turn, go film, right? And also, his third point is basically what I think I might have said this in the last video. Contracts have been signed and space allotted for cameras to roll on a film in Pinewood early next year. This is something I heard was going down just as recently a week ago. There's little chance that Lucasfilm wasn't aware of slash thinking about the delay at this point, so it seems pretty clear they're hellbound and determined to film a movie early next year, spring-ish, I believe, to launch in their December 2023 slot. So yeah, they're trying to keep that release date, and they're okay with swapping another project in, and that's just such a smart move. And that's my thing, and that's what makes me happy here, is that like I know so many people are like upset that Rogue Squadron got delayed and we got an announcement and another delay again, like what has happened so many times before. My thing about this is that so many of the decisions, the way that they've done it this time is so much better than the way they've done it in the past. You know, like they had Lord and Miller, they forced them out of Solo, they rewrote and reshot so much of that movie. Ron Howard had to come in, and like it was all just and then they delayed the movie anyways for like a couple weeks, and it was just man, the way that Solo was handled for me is, to me, that is the one big like mess that this era of Lucasfilm has had. You know, say what you will about any of the sequel trilogy or whatever. For me, it was the production side of Solo, the production and the release. The movie itself, I like fine. So I'm not talking about the movie, but like the way that it was handled was a mess. That's what I mean. Anyways, getting off topic. My point is, they seem to have learned from their mistakes in the past. They're making smarter decisions that just make more sense. So we should be happy that like this is proof that they're making smarter decisions than they were before, and this is ultimately what we wanted, right? We wanted learn from the mistakes that you've made, because there have been mistakes. Learn from them. And is that not exactly the whole, the greatest teacher failure is kind of thing? Like that's literally what it is, right? Anyways, so here's what he says next. Here's what I don't know: which film will be taking Rogue Squadron's place. If you'd asked me Friday or even earlier today, I would have quickly agreed it was the Old Republic era film. After all, that script has been known / kicked around since 2019. So that's interesting. Remember I was talking about the Benioff and Weiss, how they were putting up a whole bunch of work for their trilogy that didn't go anywhere, and Lucasfilm loves to recycle their stuff. So that was 2019. It seems like the easiest thing that would be ready, maybe even with it being G. Day Dillard's rumored project to direct. I'm not really sure what that is. Then I had a source reach out to me saying the replacement movie would be taking place 250 years before The Phantom Menace. This would put the story firmly in the High Republic era rather than Knights of the Old Republic. So I have sources I trust telling me Old Republic is the next era, with other sources I trust saying High Republic era. I've heard about Old Republic projects for a while and know they're also working on a TV series of some sort for Disney+. So part of me is leaning towards that being the likeliest choice. Okay, so yeah, I've heard about Old Republic projects for a while. I know they're working on TV. Okay, so he's leaning towards Old Republic being... That said... Oh, here we go. He continues, sorry. That said, High Republic is much more in the public eye at the moment. The publishing initiative have been highly successful and continuing to hit bestseller lists every single release, with the architects behind it having done a number of super secret meetings, planning sessions. I could see how a script could have been developed in relative secrecy, so it's not outside the realm possibility that they could be ready to roll by next year. All this a long way of saying I'm not sure. It could be a matter of time before. It could be a matter of getting wires crossed, with one being a TV series and the other being a movie. Either way, I'm reasonably sure the next Star Wars film is going to take fans to a brand new era. So that is definitely what's interesting. Is that Big Screen Leaks said that High Republic is the next movie, whereas Jordan Mason here is saying like, well, I'm hearing both things. Both probably exist at different stages. I will say this, it does almost seem as if the Acolyte could be getting mistaken for a High Republic movie or show, because it is a High Republic show. So maybe there is some wires getting crossed, maybe there is some confusion, because I gotta be honest, I feel like there's gonna be some people who, I don't know, some journalists out there who maybe are not entirely sure, I don't know, some sources or some editors or something, maybe they're not entirely sure what the difference is between High Republic and Old Republic, because they're very, very similar concepts, right? Like, you just say, oh, it's hundreds or thousands of years before the movies. Those both sound like the same thing, but they're obviously very different things. So I can see how easy it would be for someone who's trying to like say what they saw or what they know, and it just getting confused, kind of like a game of telephone. Like you say one thing, and by the time it gets to the very end of line of people, it's changed entirely, and it's like, okay, I can see how this, maybe there's a mistake here. We'll just have to find out. So here's what else happened. Here's the second piece of news. Jordan Mason, and again, because he put a stamp on this is interesting. He says the perils of working a day job and not being able to do this full time. Oh well, yeah, from what I heard, Zhao is locked in for Feige's Star Wars flick. Okay, so this is from One Take News. I believe they are related to big screen leaks. Chloe Zhao to direct Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie. Exclusive. Okay, so Chloe Zhao is one of the biggest directors in Hollywood right now, coming off a 2 Oscar win for Nomadland, which included Best Picture. Zhao recently directed the latest MCU flick Eternals to a mixed reception from critics, but audiences acclaimed it, which, I know some people are going to be like, I don't know, it acclaimed, look, I liked Eternals fine enough. It had its problems, but anyways, let's keep going. During the press for Eternals, Zhao expressed her love for Star Wars and how she'd love to direct one. Since then, we've heard some very exciting details about this possibility. We've vetted this story out as many sources as possible, and based on that, One Take News can exclusively report that Chloe Zhao is very close to signing on to direct Kevin Feige's Star Wars film, although some sources say she's already signed on, like Jordan Mason just said that. Either way, sources told us that she was always a top choice for Feige, and it's only a matter of time before it's a done deal. There's very exciting prospects, as it's clear that Zoe has love for the source material, and she stated multiple times in interviews that she's down to do a Star Wars film. She'd love to do Feige's film. Now we know why. So yes, I do remember at least a week ago or 2 weeks ago where that was stated by her, and I didn't think anything of it, but maybe I should have thought something of it, because I remember her saying that. Kevin Feige's Star Wars film is in development for an unknown release date. What do you think of this prospect? Let us know in the comments. Okay, so yeah, we have not heard much about Feige's produced Star Wars film for a while now. I think the last thing we heard was that what's his name, Michael Waldron. He's the guy who wrote Loki, and he used to be a writer for Rick and Morty. He's a really, really good, talented guy. So if you liked Loki, it's like, okay, this is the guy who's supposedly writing Kevin Feige's movie, whatever that movie is. And we haven't heard that much of it, and now we might have a director. So we got a writer, we got a director, we got a producer, Kevin Feige. What is this movie? Now, what I find interesting is that, like, okay, so she's being talked about for directing a movie. Kevin Feige's movie's got writers, and we keep hearing over and over again about how a High Republic / Old Republic movie might start filming next year. All I'm trying to say, and obviously this isn't necessarily true. These can be totally different projects that are both in various stages of production, but it's not so hard to see how you could take this one story and put it right next to this story and then be like, oh, is Chloe Zhao and Kevin Feige making the Old Republic movie / High Republic movie? I don't know. I mean, obviously nothing said that. None of these people reported that was the case necessarily, but the fact that these two stories come out so close together on these on this week of stories talking about this one thing that's mysteriously going to start production next year, they're going to need a director if it's starting production next year. And what is Kevin Feige working on? Well, what if Kevin Feige's working on something that we actually have been hearing about for the last week now? Interesting. Very interesting. Now, obviously, maybe that's not the case. Maybe he's working on something entirely different. But yeah, there's just a lot of interesting moving pieces here that are happening, that are occurring. And now I kind of want to know, would you guys rather have a High Republic movie or an Old Republic movie? Because Old Republic has dedicated fans that are, a couple of decades now, they've been dedicated to this Old Republic. That's been like a lot of people's favorite era of Star Wars, and the games played a big part in that. And that's kind of what's interesting, is that they're doing the remake of Knights of the Old Republic, and so I have to imagine they're not gonna do a remake of the video game and also adapt that same video game into a movie, which makes me believe it's not Revan's story. Maybe it's based off of the old Tales of the Jedi comics, or maybe it's based on Darth Bane, which I think is technically labeled Old Republic, even though it's not nearly as Old Republic. It's only like 1,000 years before, not 20,000 years before. So maybe it's that. Or would you rather have a High Republic story, which a lot of newer fans love the High Republic. I have read the main 2 novels, and I've been reading the more adults comic line. I've read all of that. But there are some of the junior novels I have not bothered to read yet. Maybe one day I will. And I think I'm a couple issues behind on the Adventures, more children-oriented comic book. So, there are people so dedicated to the High Republic. Like you can ask them about Book of Boba Fett, and some of these people like, no, whatever, Book of who? They're worried about the High Republic. They can name names. They've listened to the audio drama, the Lorna D audio drama. Like, some of these people are so hardcore into the High Republic. It's very impressive, actually. I'm like, I'm trying to do what I can to read comics and books and all that, but somehow these people have managed to read the whole thing. It's like it's their portion of Star Wars, which is good. I want everyone to have their favorite portion of Star Wars, and we can all get pieces of the pie, I guess, is how. I don't know if that analogy makes any sense. So anyways, let me know what you would rather have. Would you rather have Old Republic or High Republic? Both of them, I think, make sense to different degrees. Old Republic, they're making the remake. They've been reprinting those Old Republic books back in, they've been giving them new covers, giving them new, larger formats in the books, and selling those reprints, right? So they're clearly trying to reintroduce the Old Republic back into the public consciousness, right? Not just the hardcore fans, but they're trying to get more and more average normal fans, just every day, like, yeah, I like Star Wars, I've seen the movies, I think most of them, like they're trying to introduce those people, like, have you heard of the Old Republic? These books came out like 20 years ago, but still, here's a new printing, here's a new version of the game. They're trying to reintroduce it to the public, right? At the same exact time, the High Republic, well, like Jordan Mason said, it's been getting consistent #1 sellings. The High Republic works. The High Republic is a success. No matter what some certain people on YouTube or Twitter would tell you, the High Republic is a success. It is working. It is, probably one of the most consistently successful things that Star Wars has been doing for a while now. And, if you want to talk about things being planned out and things having a roadmap, the High Republic is planned out. They know what they're doing, they know where they're going, they know when they're doing what, they know who's doing where, what, why, it's all been planned out to like a ridiculous degree. If you follow some of these writers on Twitter, like, this is very exciting times for a brand new era of Star Wars. So I don't know, and I'm glad that possibly both of them exist, and they're both gonna get released at different points. Man, all I'm gonna say this is that while it's still a little unclear exactly what's happening next year and exactly what's happening in 2023, this is a really good time to be a Star Wars fan. And I know that certain people on the internet don't want you to feel that way. They want you to be angry still. They want you to be angry that sequels didn't go the way you wanted. But I'm going to tell you this, between the Disney Plus shows and the video games we're going to get and the different eras of Star Wars we're gonna get, and the new amazing possibilities of the movies that we're gonna get. This is a damn good time, and I'm really happy. And this Friday Disney Plus stuff is gonna come out, even more Star Wars stuff. It's only Tuesday. Is there gonna be more news tomorrow? I don't know, but there you go. Chloe Zhao, Kevin Feige Star Wars movie. Is that the Old Republic one, High Republic one? Who knows? But man, I'm excited. Anyways, let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel. Let me know your speculation and your theories. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.